Hello, welcome back to my channel. I'm so glad that you've joined me. I'm Len, and I'm here to talk about something that is brand new experience for my wife and I, Diane. We did our first Airbnb. I know Airbnb has been around a long time, but we just have never done one. So stick around. I'd like to share some of my thoughts, my impressions, give you a tour of the place we stayed, and then give you some tips based on our experience. Okay, let's go ahead and start out with a tour. I probably will say this again during the tour, but we are staying at a place called Shingle Springs for my wife's birthday. Shingle Springs is about 30 miles east of Sacramento, up in the foothills on the way to Lake Tahoe. While we were there, the Caldor fire broke out just 10 miles east of us. We were never threatened, but of course the skies became smoky the final day that we were there. And whenever you're on vacation and a tragedy is happening nearby, it's always difficult to emotionally process. And so, yeah, that was just part of our experience. So go ahead and watch this tour, and then I'll come back at the other end with some of my impressions and tips of our experience. I'm gonna go ahead and take you on a tour of this Airbnb. It's our first time staying in one, and it's just beautiful. We chose this because for my wife's birthday celebration, we wanted to go to a place where we could just stay by the pool, hot weather, because where we live, even though it's summer, is very cold. When we left our town this morning, it was 56 degrees. Here we are up in this place. It's in Shingle Springs, and it's 104. So big difference. This Shingle Springs is located between Sacramento and Lake Tahoe in the foothills. And this place is just lovely. It's well appointed. There's a refrigerator, a mini fridge. They provided wine glasses and filtered water and a standalone ice maker, beautiful deep sink, some snacks, Keurig machine with coffees, a good coffee selection, as well as some creamers. I've never seen anything like this. It's a little portable oven with burners on top, some spices and cooking microwave, and it was really cool. We've already put the water bowl out, but it's pet friendly, so that Waffles can come here. And the bowl was here with some treats and doggy bags and toys. That was very kind of them, as well as some brochures for local area sites. There's a whole nother side over here, a living room. I've piled our stuff there. I'll take some photos of it in just a moment of it without. And then back here is the access to their living quarters that's locked. And then this beautiful bathroom, which they've left a bunch of supplies, shaving, all this sort of stuff. Beautiful walk-in shower. The host was telling me that they remodeled it just recently, were ready to open it, and then the pandemic hit. So it's only newly opened, and thankfully it's doing well for them. I'm happy for them. The host is wonderful. I'll leave a link in the description below so that you can, if you're up in this area and want to just enjoy it. Above the bed, they've got this beautiful painting, and then in this armoire, they've got extra blankets, spare sheets, pool towels, slippers, a heater if we needed it in the room. So they've really done a great job providing everything that one would need. On the wall here is a decorative heater, and again, just very well appointed. It's quite lovely. They did a really nice job. There's all our stuff piled up. This couch, I said I was gonna move it, but y'all know what it's like coming to a place. So this couch pulls out into a bed. Our adult daughter is gonna be joining us for my wife's birthday here a little bit later. She'll sleep there. And just a beautiful place. Pool right outside the window there. Look at Diane just enjoying the slide, but like a waterfall there. Here's this incredible pool. Diane's in her happy place. Say hi, Diane. And look at this. What's that?
It doesn't get any better.
Doesn't get any better. They've got a water slide built into this, and there's a waterfall that's not working at the moment, and with the drought it's probably best not to have it on anyway. But it's just set in the foothills of California. There's a pergola up there and a hot tub, although the weather's too hot to use a hot tub. They provide all these pool tools and floaties, toys and floaties rather. And so it's just a beautiful, beautiful space, and we're looking forward to enjoying it. All right. Well, this was our first time doing this, and we're used to staying at hotels. Really, we're used to staying mostly at Disney Vacation Club rooms, which have a kitchen and a living room and laundry and usually a bedroom. We usually stay at the one bedroom units. So I kind of already have this sense of a little apartment-like experience. So coming to this Airbnb, knowing that I was renting a full self-contained unit and not just a bedroom, that was kind of what guided my impressions and expectations. We wanted this trip to be for my wife's birthday. She wanted for her birthday to go somewhere hot because we live on the coast, and the Northern California coast in July and August is generally kind of cold and overcast. So we wanted to go inland, and she wanted to have a pool, and we wanted nobody around. We could have stayed at a hotel and gone to a hotel pool, but she just wanted to be completely alone and separated from people. So we looked for this place and found it not far from some family that we visited on the way up. And the listing said something to the effect that it was a complete or an entire loft rental. And it seemed to be managed by a management company. So I did not expect at all that this was owned and hosted by an individual person, couple, owner, resident. And so that's my first tip. Always read the listing. When I realized that there was an on-site host, I went back because I was really frustrated and mad at myself that somehow this happened. And sure enough, it does say, please note the owner lives in the unit downstairs. And again, because our expectation was to be completely alone, I had an assumption, and it was wrong as you saw from the tour, but initially I had this assumption that this pool was going to be like outside their kitchen window and they would be doing dishes looking out at us. And I didn't want to impose on their pool space, and I didn't want them to impose on our experience. So I was just kind of anxious going into it. Now, I had subsequently emailed the host and found out and looked at the photos again on the listing that it really is a private pool and it is dedicated to the space we rented. And it was wonderfully private, as it turns out, and the hosts were incredible. They did greet us at coming in, at checking in time, and met a few of our needs along the way. But my tip is to make sure you read what you're getting into and that it matches your expectations. And ultimately, the trip was wonderful, and I have nothing negative to say about it. But I did go into it with that bit of reservation and concern, and frankly, disappointment and anger at myself that I didn't read it more clearly. Secondly, another tip I would say is to find out from the host or the management company really what supplies are there. And I'm glad we did do this because it looks from the photos like it's well stocked. And in fact, it is very well stocked. But there are a few things it didn't have. It did not have a freezer. And going away for a couple days, we were intending to bring some ice cream or some frozen foods that we would heat up in the oven or the microwave. And glad we found out in advance that it didn't have a freezer, because that would have really messed up some of our shopping, because we did have to bring in our own food. We didn't want to go out to restaurants. We wanted to hang out there and just really, for the day and a half, 2 days, be completely, isolated and locked down. So find out what they have or don't have. If you need bar tools, if you need special utensils, if you need special appliances, find out what they have, and then you'll know what you need to bring in order to do your trip the way you want to do your trip. The next thing is, another tip is to understand, I kind of understand your environment in terms of the heat and the air conditioning. I didn't even think to ask this. I had just assumed that the environment would be separate and we could choose our own heat and cooling. Again, going from a hotel model. But a lot of Airbnbs are actually part of people's homes. And so it makes sense that heating and air conditioning are not under your control. And Shingle Springs was very hot. It was 104 the first day we got there, and it didn't cool down a whole lot throughout the night. Maybe it got down into the 70s, which is nice, but we come from the coast and we sleep at night with our windows open at 56 degrees, and sometimes often the blankets are not on my feet, and we run a fan. We like it cold. We like the air to move. And so when we do go to hotels, we usually run the air conditioning. Now, our host was wonderfully gracious, and he had told me in advance that if we were either too cold or too hot, to let him know, and he would change the settings to accommodate us. But honestly, I couldn't bring myself in the middle of the night to wake him up and say, please turn on the air conditioning. And nor did I feel like I should the next night. It's their home, and they're used to sleeping in the environment that they sleep in. And while we were not technically their guest as friends, we still are a guest in their home. That's what Airbnb is. And so we were frankly a bit uncomfortable at night. Now, that is nothing to the fault of the host. Nothing to the fault of the environment. It's our preferences. So I do not want that as a review to count against them. Although I did suggest to him in a private review, well, here it is now public, but that he perhaps consider installing, one of those single room wall-mounted air conditioners. But you know what? That's neither here nor there. The fact is we need when we book a room to ask what sort of situation we're getting ourselves into. You can see that from the video, it was beautifully appointed. We had no other complaints or criticisms, concerns. How's that for alliteration? Complaint, criticisms, concerns. We had none of that along the way. The pool was beautiful. The deck was beautiful. The environment was incredible. You can see I painted. We swam. In fact, the painting's right behind me that I'd made. We swam. We just had a wonderful day and a half there. We technically had 2 days, but we went in on a Monday afternoon, late afternoon, and checked out Wednesday morning. So one very full day, my wife's birthday, and we had a great time. Okay, so let me offer one final thought. Would I ever stay at an Airbnb? That's the obvious question, isn't it? Would I ever do this again? And I think in the big picture, it's easy to say, of course I would. Why not? Um, but but I have one reservation. While the hosts were wonderful, there really was nothing wrong about them at all or their ability to create a beautiful environment. I still felt a little odd, a little weird, staying in somebody's home while they were there. Again, I chose this because the rental listing implies that it's hosted by a vacation rental company and that this was an entire unit. And so I specifically chose a place knowing that staying in somebody's home felt a little weird to me. We actually considered using our home as an Airbnb at one point, and then the idea of people staying in our place that we didn't know, that just turned us off, and we just never considered it again. And so to stay in somebody else's home just feels weird to us. I know you stay at it doesn't make sense because you stay at a hotel with strangers all up and down the hall. But it's a little bit different when you know it's their home. You sort of feel like you're imposing. Now they obviously don't feel that way, and they didn't want us to feel that way. They created this environment specifically for this purpose. But I still feel that way. Now, most people maybe don't give a rip one way or the other about that, and so that may not be your concern. But it did feel a little weird for us. But we still had a great time, and if we did Airbnb again, I think we really would make sure it was a fully available house or space with no local host on site. That would be our filter. But you choose your filter. That's the point of this video, is that you ask those right questions. The link for this particular location is below, and I would encourage you to if you're in the Shingle Springs, Sacramento area, you want a nice place in the foothills. It's a wonderful place, and I would encourage you to check it out. But be mindful on any Airbnb experience. I mean, here I am. I've done one time, and so I'm hardly an expert to suggest tips. But I learned the hard way. Well, not so hard. But I learned from my experience some things I'll do differently next time. And often a first-time experience is our best lesson, our best teacher for how we should look ahead to our next experiences. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please, if you would, like and subscribe. Our channel is growing. It's exciting. We're now over 500 subscribers. And I know that our channel is not focused on one topic. And so to try to please everybody is really a challenge. But this one is a travel video. And, we do Disney and Starbucks and painting, art, life, and travel. And so I hope that you've liked this today and that you'll learn something from it, and just go along kind of on our journey with us. We're going to be going to Disneyland in September, as some of our earlier videos said, and so we'll be blogging and taking video of that and sharing our experience. So thank you for being here today, and if you would consider, we don't do Patreon to support the channel, but we do have the Buy a Coffee link if you would, and that way you could help support the continued making of these videos, and I'd appreciate having you do that as well. Thank you. So we'll see you next time.